believe it or not, hold on, that we always wonder, and we never really critically analyze, why is it that when we hear these talking points from other outlets, and the topics could come from nationalists, liberals, all these people, that these interesting labels, you always hear that they said welfare is only a minority thing, most likely. Mostly either black, Hispanic, but mostly black, particularly, that be on the welfare more than anybody else in this country. But they never did know, say, how something like this came to existence. Why is it just only minorities that they keep pushing that is on this the most? Now, the article I'm revealing today is going to really talk about certain things that, that never been talked about. And I notice when other people, content creators, have these discussions with other people that listen into their streams or go back and forth with other content creators, we always hear the same rhetoric that this is only a minority thing, the welfare thing, and no other race, particularly people that are non-black, aka Caucasoid, are on it at all. Now, some people say they are on it, but they're a very small percentage. But from what I discovered, it says otherwise. And I'm probably going to talk about this. This is something that people could jump in and give their thoughts and opinion. So before I go, I am going to drop the other links to the chat room. And this is for people that they want to support the channel. Okay. You also could find me. Let me see. There's the Cash App, support the stream. Also, you'll see that if you want to have questions or you want to send me articles or any information, you could link me on Twitter. The Twitter link is right there, also next to the Cash App. And I will put it in one more time for those to, I'll put it in twice. All right, there you go. And now, as I remove this, and I will pull up the article itself. And please, like always, like the video as you come in the door. If you could give me assistance, a training, if you're still on, to spread the word. All right. Let's see. And as I give people a few more minutes before I start. All right. Very good. So let me check if how I sign my other end. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna give you a few minutes. And as y'all know, the thing with the case with Amber Geiger is going on right now. Not sure if that will fan out. And one thing I would like to give credit to this information, Mr. Gray, for revealing this information. Very helpful to me. What the heck is that? What's that? No, don't do that. All right. Some little hiccup. Okay. Let's turn to the article itself. Now, this looks like this is from the New York Times or the Times Magazine. So let me share this. Give me a second, people. I'm trying to screen share my thing. Okay, let me see if it's sharing. Okay, it's sharing now. So, mind you, it's gonna be hard to read it. Let me see if I can get this to be bigger. That's all right. Let me try this one more time. No, I can't read that. All right, let me try one more time. Okay. And I double flip back. Perfect. Y'all can read that. All right. Welfare, a white secret. Come on, my fellow white folks, we have something to confess. No, nothing to do with age sports or age spots or those indoor tanning creams. We used to get us through the winter without looking like a final stage of TB, wherever that is. Nor am I talking about the fact that we all go home and practice funky dance moves behind drawn shades out with its friend. The biggest secret known to white since the invention of powder rugs, welfare, is a white program. Yep, at least it's no more black than Vanilla Ice is a fair rendition of a classic urban rap. You get that? Good. The numbers go like this: 61% of the population receive welfare, listed as means tested cash assistance by the Census Bureau, is identified as white, while only 33% is identified as black. These numbers, notwithstanding, the Republican version of political correctness has given us welfare cheats as a new term for African American since the early days of Ronald Reagan. Yet it is Lakers were 61% white and on a winner streak while be calling them a black team. Wait a minute. I can hear my neighbor say, we are not as slow as math as the Asian Americans like to think. There's still a glaring disproportion there. African Americans are only 12% of the population as a whole, at least according to the Census count, yet they're 33% of the welfare population. Surely evidence of a shocking addiction to the dole. Now, mind you, they said 30, we dropped from 13% to 12%, which I question every day. If, say, the people here in America, especially that us labeled black or what they call ADOS people, their numbers dropping. I question that every day, and I personally, because everybody know most people that are ADOS or black people in general, descendants here for centuries, they're not doing statistics. They're not doing the same number crunching. How much are them as a population as a whole in America? What are the numbers? And I will say this once and only once so people understand. If you don't do your own number crunching, if you let another third party, which mostly is not part of your race, give you stats of what the population you are in this country or anywhere you are, you're being fooled all the time. Because this question always got to ask, what is causing people that are so quote unquote at least 13 or what they say now 12% drop from a percentage? But I'm not going into that today. We're going to continue on the subject at hand. But we're forgetting something. Welfare is a program for poor people, very poor people. African Americans are 3 times as likely as whites to fall below the poverty line or the poverty level, and hence to have a chance to qualify for welfare benefits. If we look at the kind of person most likely to be eligible, single mothers living in poverty with children under 18 to support, we find little difference in welfare participation by race. 74.6% of African Americans in such dire strain are on welfare compared with 64.5% of the poor white single moms. Damn. That still is a difference, but not enough to imply some continuous appetite for a free lunch on the part of the African deprived. In fact, 2 explanations readily suggest themselves. First, just as a black are disproportionately likely to be poor, they are disproportionately likely to find themselves among the poorest of the poor, where welfare eligibility arise. Second, the black people or the black poor are more likely than their white counterparts to live in cities and hence to have a chance of making their way to the welfare office. Correct. For those 2 differences, and you won't find an excess of African American fitting the stereotype of the sluttest welfare queen who breed for profit. So why are they so poor? I can see my neighbor asking as vision of freckless Edler dance before his narrow eyes. And that is a question white folks will do well to ponder, considering for a start that African Americans are more likely to be disabled. Illness being a famous consequence of poverty or unemployment in the sense of active seeking work, and far less likely to earn a wage that would lift them out of the welfare eligibility range, which they don't get out. As for the high proportion of black families heading by single women, 44% compare with 13% for whites. Many deep social historical reasons could be adduced by none of them as welfare. The number of respect studies refute the Reagan era myth that a few hundred a month in welfare payments is a sufficient incentive to chuck one's husband or get pregnant while in high school. If it were states with relatively high welfare payments, said about 500 a month per family, would have higher rates of out of wedlock births than states like Louisiana and Mississippi, which experts of welfare families to get by on at a 200 a month or less. But this is not the case, and it's really not the case at all. Because now in the 21st century, To be honest with you, $5 ain't squat. Maybe 30 something years ago, if they were getting that, you can get by very well. But in today, to be honest with you, I don't see you getting by $5 a month. If you wait for that just to eat, you're in trouble. So our confessions stand. White folks have been gobbling up the welfare budget while blaming someone else. But it's worse than that. If we look at Social Security, which is another form of welfare, what? Let me read that again. It's worse than that. If we look at Social Security, which is another form of welfare, which they're talking, now mind you, there are some people that are white and non-black, white and black, or what they call, Caucasian or African, that's retired now. And again, Social Security. You do pay in that system, but that's also another form of incentive of welfare, from what I read here. And it's not surprising because when you look at welfare, you get every month. Same for the Social Security check. It's something every month. So that's something very interesting to keep in mind. Although it is often mistaken for an individual insurance program, then whites are the ones who are crowding the, the trough. We receive almost twice as much per capita for a aggregate advantage to our race of 10 billion a year, much more than the 3.9 billion advantage African American gain from their disproportionate shares of welfare. One sad reason is white lives an average of 6 years longer than African Americans mean that young black workers help subsidize a huge and growing overclass of white retirees. Damn. And to put a note here, if you know the birth rate here in this country, besides outside this country that's considered non-black or what they call it, Caucasoid, they have very much a declined birth rate. They have more older people than young people, so they're not replacing themselves. So most of the workers here are subsidizing people that are over the age of 70 or over the age of 65, depending when you could qualify for Social Security. They are subsidizing the older class of Europeans that's still living in this country. Very interesting. Interesting. I do not see our confessions bring much relief. There's a reason for resentment, for it has more to do with class than with race. White people are poor too, and in number far exceeding any of our more generous pigment social groups. And poverty, and defined by the government, is a vast underestimation of the economic terror that persists at incomes such as 20 grand or even 40 grand and above that we likely to think of a middle class. And really true, that is not middle class. Some people say now 50K, if you make 50K a year, you're in the middle class. No. I want people to go back on this channel. I did the new classification of what is the poor, the middle, and the elite class. Go back to that. I explained and I gave a brand new definition of what is to come. What you're seeing now, what they tell you what is a lie. Because the United States fiat currency is losing value every year. Your spending and buying power is less. You need more of those, what we call your Federal Reserve notes to get by. So if they say if you're making 50K a year, that you're good. No, you're not good. Not in what we call the West, we call America. That's an illusion. Hell, I heard even people say that they are over the close to the 2%, 3%, 5% if they make over 100K or greater. And I'm gonna say this. This is gonna hurt feelings. For you to be in the middle class going on in the next decade and beyond, you're gonna have to gross $250,000. Yes, I said it. And that's just being nice. $250,000 is considered middle class. 900K, not even 200K. It has to be roughly close to $250,000. And usually, if you make more than that, like over 300 or 500, you are still considered middle class. To be above middle class, to be upper class, you have to make and gross over $1 million. And the elites, I'm not gonna give that. I'm not ready for that. So let's continue. The problem is not the welfare is too generous to blacks, but the social welfare in general is too stingy to all concerned. Naturally, swelling near poor categories recently a whole race supposedly fortlicking at their expense. Whites near poor and middle class need help too. So do the many African Americans, Hispanics, and others who do not qualify for aid but need it nonetheless. So we white folks have a choice. We can keep pretending that welfare is a black program and scheme for transferring our earnings in the pockets of shiftless, dark-skinned people, or we can clear our throats, blush prettily, and admit that we are hurting too. For cash assistance, when we're down or actually, and we are down and out for health insurance, for college, aid, and all the rest. Racial scapegoating has its charms. I will admit the surge of righteous anger, even the fun for those inclined of wearing sheets and burning crosses. But there are better, nobler sources of white pride. It seems to me, remembering whatever they said about our music or our taste in clothes, only we can truly, deeply blush. And that's the end of this article. And let me stop. How you doing, Mary? And there you have it. Very sad. Very sad. Very sad indeed. And the funny thing all about this, I've been hearing this talk about this for some time now. I'm very disappointed, really, at some people, mostly our people, in regards they keep pushing that same program rhetoric, and they don't really look into none of this. Stupidness. So, I said my little piece. Let me check the comments, and let me see what I can do here. Let's see if anybody's out here. Okay. So for the last few minutes, I will go through the comments now and see who's up here. And while I do that, I'm going to and it looks like everybody's just watching. Nothing really special. Oh, I forgot to do this. Yeah. So it seems people are watching the thing. Watching the thing. Okay. All right. So on other permanent issues that I could think of. I would say sometime later this week, I will send an upload or premiere. And this is how the premieres will be going moving forward. Any premiere that I will upload, it will be on a Friday afternoon. That's the date and time I will put uploads. And every Friday I will put up a previous show I did from another channel, and I'll upload it here Friday evenings, like around 3 or 4 o'clock, mostly Eastern time. Every other Centrals from Western or wherever, they vary. Also, at the end of every month, I will find an very old broadcast I've done on the radio, and I will upload it. And I have a very much a heavy library of shows I've done for the last couple of years. I will upload that as well, but that will be at the end of every month, and that's something I'm pushing to do now. Also, what else? Other announcements. Also, you notice I do the book readings every Thursday. The timetable in the book readings kind of vary now. Usually, I do them in the morning or early afternoon, but sometimes it'll be done in the evening. So there's no set time. So always hit the bell notifications if you're not subscribed to the channel to get when I go in on the book readings. And other than that, I think that's pretty much all the little announcements I gave y'all for now. Anything else, I'll let y'all know, like always. But please go back to the replay of this particular broadcast. I think it was informative. I will put the links at the end of every video, so y'all can go back to. And last but not least, I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'd like to thank everybody that was. All right. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and listening to today's broadcast. Be on the lookout for other streams ahead. And like always, let's get off. Ray.